What is going on, you lovely people? How you doing today? Hope everybody is going well. Hope everybody is doing well. I am Lore Reloaded, your lovely, lovely guest, and you are on the Lore Reloaded. And yes, we have our acid trip elevator music. Always fun to have an acid trip while on an elevator, as all of you guys know. Hey, if you're watching this video on demand, you know what's about to happen. I'm going to tell you about all this cool, fancy stuff, like checking me out, twitter.com/Lore Reloaded. It is vital that you become a part of my Twitter, guys. Things can happen to this channel. Things can happen all over. And the only way you're going to figure out what's going on is to become a Twitter follower. This is a special video, an additional live stream I decided to do because a lot of people were liking the topic I was talking about this morning. Figured I'd try to do a geek breakdown tonight just to see what you guys were still thinking. If it's interesting, you guys are liking it, that's great. If not, may move over to Twitch or may just call it a night early. But with that out of the way, let's talk to some people. We got Defuxa Plays. Man, I just got demonetized. Defuxa Plays. Was this scheduled several minutes from now? It was. Usually I try to do it a little bit early, just so people can get here on time. We got Jonathan Stevie, of course, Captain George. Captain George, always fun to see you. Nate Watson up in his house. Michael Colley. And of course, YouTube is having issues and not alerting people that live streams are going live. So, you know, we got all of that to look forward to. But today we're going to be talking about, or tonight I should say, we're going to be talking about the technologies of the Terran Empire. And to bring this all together, this morning I was talking about a new series that I'm going to be doing, which is the Terran Empire versus the Dominion. And so what's going to be happening is we're going to disregard Deep Space Nine. All of the Deep Space Nine Terran Empire plots, Mirror Universe plots, out the window. Because I really think they did a disservice to the Mirror Universe. It was just filler. They needed to do something with their episodes, and they were really disrespectful, in my opinion. One of the missteps Deep Space Nine actually did. We got Unknown User in the house. Common Sense America, always happy to see you. Gerald Seards, 14K Leon. But yeah, so no Deep Space Nine. What if the Terran Empire had continued to prosper if the Deep Space Nine never occurred? And what would have occurred had they... what would have occurred if they went to war with each other? Captain Griffin just became a lore master. Welcome, Captain Griffin. And when we were discussing that, a lot of the things that came up was the discussion of the technology that the Terran Empire would have had versus the Dominion. Now, I'm of the opinion that the Dominion would have still had an advantage at the beginning. I really think that the Dominion in the Gamma Quadrant still had superior technology than what the Alpha Quadrant could produce at the time. That said, the Terran Empire wouldn't be as far behind as Starfleet was, and I do think that the Terran Empire would have struck first. Nate Watson saying Terran technology seems to be a patchwork of whoever they conquered. We saw in Enterprise that the Terran were experimenting with the cloaking technology. And we got Fancy Teeth in the house was going on fancy. Nate Watson, that's exactly what I was saying this morning, actually. One of the disadvantages, I would say, of the Terran Empire is, like you said, it's a lot of it is patchwork. You got the 23rd century Defiant. You have I think it was the Suliban cloaking technology. You have Tholian technology that they stole. You have Klingon technology that they stole. Hell, look at the Palace ship in Discovery. The Palace ship in Discovery looks very, very reminiscent of Romulan technology. Now, granted, it's 24th century Romulan technology, not 23rd century, but still, it looks a lot like a Romulan-inspired ship. So they do have all of these advancements, but it is patchwork. It's bringing everything together and making it work. But again, I think that they would still have those advantages. They would still be more powerful than Starfleet. But the Dominion ultimately would have the Polaron technology, which, while in the Alpha Quadrant, the research I've done leads me to believe that it wasn't all that common. And so I still think that with the Polaron technology, they probably would be able to punch holes in Starfleet's shields until they would be able to catch up. By the way, guys, if you're watching this, don't forget to like and share it. 38 people watching, only 8 thumbs up. What's up with that? Corey 2000, lore. I wonder if the best tech is kept for the Emperor and Homeworld, and ships like the Enterprise under Kirk was not as technologically advanced. That would make sense, and there is some evidence to it. So I'm glad you bring that up. There is some evidence that the Emperor has more advanced technology than the other ships. And there's going to be spoilers here, but when you look at the Palace ship, they either had long-range missiles that could, missiles or torpedoes that could travel through warp and couldn't be detected, or they had cloaking technology. Because if you remember, when you had Michael, who was the captain of the ISS Shenzhou, all of a sudden these missiles come out of nowhere and destroy the planet she was trying to protect. And it came from the Palace ship. They didn't detect it. They didn't know where it was coming from. And hell, they would have never known if the Emperor hadn't contacted them and said, hey, why weren't you destroying this planet? I did it for you. So it does make sense that the Emperor and Earth probably had better technology than their main ships or their base ships that they sent out. So for multiple reasons, so that they wouldn't come back and do what Sato did, right? To just take over. Obviously, they'd want to stop against that. King Rainbow, love you, Lord. Been binging your streams for days now. Glad to finally catch you live. King Rainbow, it is more my pleasure to catch you live. Thank you. Common Sense America, how would the Terran Empire keep their Federation-style ships if they are constantly changing based on conquered technology? So, I guess we kind of just addressed that. Probably there are 2 different types of technologies being given. Your general base standard technology, which is given to captains and such, and then the hierarchy who don't want to be conquered would have the better stuff, the better technology. Lore, Enterprise in Mirror Universe discovered the Enterprise's sister ship, which was advanced as Mirror Kirk's ship, which if they did research would be more advanced, says Corey 2000. I'm not completely sure what you're trying to tell me there. Are you talking about them finding the Defiant? Because of that, I'd agree. Empress Sato with mustache. Yes, Paths Unwritten. Yes. Didn't the Section 31 ship Into Darkness have long-range torpedoes? It did. It was not... that wasn't the Mirror Universe, but they were going to sit at the border of the Klingon Empire and then shoot these missiles and hit Kronos with them. And they would have been able to kill on a dime Khan. Of course, the ship would have been disabled, and at that point, Enterprise would have been destroyed. Let's see. Oh, we got Raw666. For you guys who don't know, you want to know why Raw666 has a fun icon and is green? He is a sponsor of the channel. If you're watching this online, you can look up and hit the sponsor button and become a sponsor for $4.99. It really helps the channel. Then how was Spock in a position to become Emperor? Did Spock become Emperor, Raw666? Do we have any evidence that he became Emperor? He did start reforms and things of that nature, but I ultimately he became the head of it after doing reforms. But I guess I'm trying to... Are you asking how did he get into a position to take command like that? Well, if we're looking at Deep Space Nine, I know we said we're going to discount that, but if we're looking at Deep Space Nine, it leads us to believe that even with the Terran Empire, there was discontent of the militaristic nature, and that there was even some evidence that possibly even the humans were to a degree oppressed. And so when Spock comes back and he talks about reform and democracy and doing all these great and grand things, it really resonates with the populace. and probably started with some rebellion. But ultimately, that moved forward, and the people would overthrow their overlords, is what I'm guessing. We don't know. It's not in canon, quote unquote. We just know the reforms were very popular. Let's see. We got Gerald Sears doing a super chat. Thank you so much, guys. As you know, super chats are what keep this going. All the super chats either keep the lights on so that I can make you videos or go directly back into the Lore Reloaded so I can buy more assets. So thank you so much. It's what makes this what it can be. Sponsor button not seeming to work, of course, because this is YouTube. So here's this. Thank you so much, Gerald. One matchup I never see and probably will never see is the Traveler Third Imperium versus Star Wars, Star Trek, Babylon 5. I will throw that in the hopper and have it as one of the things that I may look into. I'll be honest, I'd have to do a lot of research on the Traveler Third Imperium before I could really speak to it. But I mean, I'll take a look at it. I don't know enough to really comment right now. If I could try to BS my way out of it, but yeah. So I mean, I'll throw it in the hopper. I'll put it on my Word doc, and I'll look more into it for you. James Hubbard, thank you so much. Love your videos, especially all of these. Especially all these ones regarding the Terran Empire. Long live the Empire. Yeah, I'm going to actually have a week of nothing but Terran Empire. I've done that once already. I'm going to do it again. I like the Terran Empire. My biggest fear with it, if I'm being honest, though, is that I think they're about to start overusing it in Trek, and it's not going to be as fun anymore because they're going to be very demystified, especially if Discovery continues to do it. Because I don't think Discovery really does any justice to anything it does. So I love the Terran Empire, but I do think they're probably going to start overusing it, and a lot of people aren't going to like that. James Harris just became a lore master. Welcome to the fold, James Harris. Lore, basically every tech the Federation considers non-ethical would be acceptable by the Empire. Yeah, and this week I've been talking about the Omega molecule and the damages it could do. And imagine if you made that into a bomb. Imagine if you could take the Omega molecule, turn it into a weapon of mass destruction, point it at an area, and destroy all subspace in that area. Imagine the destruction. Another thing that came up this morning that I thought was very intriguing was the use of the Genesis project. What if you had a Genesis bomb or a Genesis torpedo, and so you're fighting an alien species, you find their homeworld, and you launch a Genesis torpedo at it. Not only do you destroy every living thing on that planet, you remake the planet, and it's now colonizable. Let's see. I have notifications on with your channel, but it takes YouTube a long time to tell me you're on live. Ty Cole, there is actual issue. That's actually been happening. It's hit my views quite a bit, which is unfortunate for somebody who lives off YouTube. But there's an issue they're working on for notifications, both for videos and live streams. They're saying they're going to get it fixed. The only thing I'd suggest is, until they do, check the channel. Usually every day I'm going to either have a video, a live stream, or both. Except on Saturdays and Sundays. Those are usually my off days, though I do upload, and Sunday nights I go online. But Monday through Friday, if you haven't seen an update, come to my channel, because I've done something for sure. Raw666, I always find that leaving areas open to interpretation is something a fandom needs, for providing all the answer leaves nothing to questions and nothing to discuss with friends. And it also demystifies. So, look at the Borg. I think the Borg are perfect. A perfect example. In the next generation, the Borg were a wonderful enemy. A wonderful nemesis, which is what an enemy is. I don't know why it's just redundant. They very mysterious, trying to figure it out. There were some missteps, but I don't think they overused them. Now look at the Borg with Voyager and think about how you consider the Borg with Voyager. Now, some of that is because Voyager had bad writing, but I would say, to Voyager's credit, they they overuse them. And if you overuse something and you demystify it, no matter how good the writing is, it's going to negatively impact whatever you're looking at. The more you know, the less threatening something is. King Rainbow, the mirror universe stays the darker timeline. Constant war creates constant innovation in weapons and war. How could Prime stand a chance? I think Prime could stand a chance in their innovation and maybe in their thinking outside of the box and not their bloodlust. Also, internally, the Terran Empire should fold on itself because that doesn't make a ton of sense. I hate that people think that if you have an authoritarian government or if you have an evil government that they have to be at each other's throats, that they have to hate each other. I don't think that I don't think that that's the case at all. I think that you can have an evil empire that doesn't kill each other. Doug34, better get a side job. Well, I mean, I got other revenues, other ways, but that's one of the reasons why people hate it. But one of the reasons I push Patreon so much is that if I was able to get Patreon up to $2,000 for the month, then I could make videos without worrying about anything, which is one of the reasons I push it so much, so that I don't have to worry or rely on YouTube. I mean, it is what it is, but still, that's one of the reasons why. I wouldn't even need to do it on YouTube if I didn't want to. I could go to Vimeo or wherever I wanted to. Let's see. Imagine if you used Omega to eliminate warp drive capability within 6 to 7 light years around all your military assets. Everyone who comes to attack has to slow down to impulse too early. Yeah, I mean, you could do that. You run the chance of also not being able to get your ships out in time if there's an attack somewhere here or there. But that's not a horrible idea, Fancy Teeth. I was wondering about that. So when I was putting the Omega molecule together, and I was talking about the Lantaru system, I was thinking that if the Federation was attacked, ships could go into the Lantaru system, and unless the enemy was able to find a way to mask their signatures, it would be a good place to regroup without just getting all of a sudden destroyed. So I don't hate that, but again, you could use it in reverse too. Just completely nuke or carpet bomb an entire section or a couple of sectors of your enemy, and then they can't warp to save the rest. It would be a great way to win a war. Also, let's see, Raw666. Also, the fact that Terran Empire only have a small percentage of the population developing technology means they may not advance as fast as the Prime and depend on stealing from others. So yeah, and that's a good point. The fact that they conquer and then just take and use what they have, I wonder what their innovation is like. In Prime, we know that we have engineers that turn rocks into replicators, right? Would the Terran Empire engineers do that? Would they be as ingenuitive? Corey 2000, Lord, does Omega harm transwarp or even wormhole travel? I don't know. A lot of people were also talking about slipstream, so I don't think that it would because it doesn't rely on subspace. And they specifically talk about warp bubbles, and so those other technologies may not use it. But I'm not sure, to be honest. I'd have to know more about how slipstream and such work, and I bet it doesn't talk about it. I'll bet you money it doesn't talk about it. Impulse isn't warp. I would agree with that. Nuke them from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. Oh, man. So, yeah, I think the Terran Empire is massively scary. Someone said this morning that looking at Discovery, right, how scary Discovery is and how real Discovery is. And I actually would agree with that. I think it's pretty intimidating, pretty scary. And I like that aspect of Discovery. In Discovery, the Terran Empire does seem lethal, I guess is the word. They should have brought back some of the stuff. Some of the stuff wasn't very Star Trek to me. They did some things that were unnecessary, but it still felt lethal. I'll give you that. I think they could have done it without the rampant need of gore porn or actual porn, but still, it felt lethal. I imagine all their innovation revolves around breaking down alien tech, understanding it, and improving it, says Fancy T. I don't even know that they break it down. If you look at Enterprise, basically they just take a cloaking device and they just hook it up to their stuff. They just do it slipshod and like, hell, let's just hook this thing up and hope for the best. So I don't know how much they break it down. If not, they're a little bit like the Dominion, maybe, when you think about it. Maybe they conquer a species and they just have them build the stuff for them and put it on their ships. I don't know. Captain George, not to mention, if that facility just became out of date or not in use, then you cause harm to space you would never be able to fix. I guess he's talking about making a facility and then dropping bombs so people couldn't warp into it. So, and that's a conversation I'm not a part of. Mr. Londale J, I haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Have you been here? Have you been at the other ones? Where you been? Londale, you got to come up to all my stuff, man. It's not a party without you. Just how closely related is Terran Empire tech to Starfleet tech? Are they exactly the same, or are there differences? There would have to be differences, Londale. The ships look a lot alike, but we were talking about this earlier. And, 14K Liam, you got to go to bed. Thanks, buddy. Hope you have a good night. But Mr. Londale J, so some of the ships look like Starfleet equivalents. Now, I would say that they're stronger, more powerful, probably a little bit larger. But the tech would be similar, though Starfleet would be weaker. But if you look at like the Emperor's Palace ship, and if you look at the Defiant from the 23rd century or 23rd century, it would seem like the higher echelons have the better technology. So there's two levels, honestly, and this just came up today, and I forget who said it. It was on this live stream, but it would make sense. So you have the Emperor that has all the best tech. That's why you see the Palace ship, and it looks more like an alien ship, more Romulan. And then you have the regular stock captains that are in the ships that look similar to that of Starfleet ships. And so they do have more powerful ships, better technology, but it's also very segmented so that you wouldn't have coups. By the way, guys, 66 people watching, only 26 thumbs up. Please thumb it up if you like what I'm doing, or thumb it down. I don't care. I just want you guys to be a part. Make a vote, good people. Vote with your thumbs. Ricky Schnurstein. After Hoshi became the Empress of the Terran Empire, some of the book canon says she clones herself, and Hoshi Soto II and Hoshi Soto III ruled the Empire afterwards. Empress Georgiou should be Soto III. You know, interestingly enough, I didn't know that. I actually much prefer thinking that Georgiou is the daughter of Sato. I think that would be a lot cooler, in my opinion. I know there may be some issues with ethnicity, but, you know, I mean, it's not like Discovery cares about anything else in continuity. But still, I would love that. I think that'd be interesting. Raw666, I just realized something. With Omega Particle able to destroy subspace, doesn't that mean most, if not all, FTL communication-based technology? So wouldn't it make perfect Black Ops zone? They never specifically talk about subspace communications. However, if it damages subspace, then in theory, subspace communication would not work. So I agree with you there, but I'm with you there, but it's never specifically talked about, and I guess they wouldn't be using subspace communication when they were talking with the ships on the Omega Directive from Voyager. I feel every time you ask for upvotes, we're in episode of the overall voting to save your life. Well, I mean, maybe you are voting to save my life. Let's see. Please stop giving Star Trek Discovery hack writers ideas. I mean, they're gonna do bad ideas anyway, so I might as well use mine. at least I can ask them for money in it. In other works of fiction, empires have always become fat and complacent at times at its highest levels. It's really interesting to have the hierarchy also be in technology. Yeah, and I think in the original series, what was the name of it? It's not in Mirror Darkly. That's Enterprise. Maybe it was Mirror Mirror. I don't think. The original series, Mirror Universe, they actually discussed that, how it had become bloated, how it was going to fail within so many years because the Terran Empire couldn't sustain itself. The one thing about the original series, yes, it was campy. Yes, they had some stupid stuff like the Nazi planet and things like that. But a lot of the original series felt more realistic, especially with the technology, in my opinion. What's going on, D. Newton? I'm doing well. How's it going with you, buddy? Oh, the new Fox show, the Orville, Raw 666. Gotcha, the Orville. What were you saying beforehand then? I feel every time you ask for upvotes, we're in the episode of the Orville, voting to save your life. Now it all comes together. That was a good episode, in fact. It was very telling about social media. And how you can just easily destroy your life on social media, just being stupid, doing something stupid, making a bad decision. Orville is TNG rebooted. But yeah, I like that episode because he did something stupid. He did something he shouldn't have, and still, caught hell from it. Life-destroying type thing. When it shouldn't have been a life-destroying thing. I mean, I've done Orville breakdowns. It just hasn't been very popular. Of course, I did it when I wasn't in double digits. So I might try it again to see if more people show up. Bad Wolf, everything's going well, buddy. Decided to do another one because people were interested. Plus, I got to keep up with the Anti-Tracker. He's doing 2 a night, so I got to do 2 a night, right? But yeah, so the one interesting thing is, and we get some kind of hint with the Palace ship, but I'm surprised that not all of the ships, all of the Terran Empire ships, don't have cloaking devices. Because we saw cloaking devices used in Enterprise. And I don't think they're going to give up that technology. The Terran Empire, no. I doubt they would. I think that all of them would have cloaks, so I don't know why they wouldn't be using that technology. Of course, they catch so much hell about the invisibility screen. Maybe they just didn't want to add it on the Terran Empire, or there wasn't a reason to use it. But yeah. And Fancy Teeth, who edits my videos, is going political in my chat because he doesn't like having his job as my editor, I guess, is where that's going. So, Doug34, I see all kinds of plot holes in the old series. Very obvious, but really contrived emotional payoff. So, I'm not saying the original series is perfect. What I said was with their technology, they're a lot more consistent. Let me give you a couple of examples. In the original series, shields were actually shields. If something hit you, if something hit the shield, it did damage to the shield and not the ship. Once the shields dropped, you were basically dead. You could take a couple of hits, but especially if they hit you with a photon torpedo, that was the game. You've lost. So I liked that. Shields also took forever to power up and to come up. They weren't instant like the Next Generation. Fancy Teeth, I'm giving you a hard time, man. If I actually had an issue with anything you were doing, I wouldn't be saying it on publicly. I'm just messing with you. But yeah, I think that the original series did a lot of the military stuff, a lot of the military tactics well. I even think that like Undiscovered Country, where they were talking about the military fleet, the Starfleet, all of that good stuff. And when you look at the Enterprise, so the original series Enterprise was like a submarine but in space. When you look at the Enterprise, it was supposed to be the biggest ship that had come, the most prestigious ship, and it really was everybody wanted to be on a Constitution class ship, but when you look at what happened to Constitution class ships, they were a death sentence. They literally were. The best way to get killed was to be stationed on a Constitution class ship, but that made sense because it was an exploratory ship, but it was also a military ship. And so when you're exploring, there are things in space that are going to get you killed. When you are in a military, you could possibly get killed there as well. So I really like the original series from that standpoint. Fancy Teeth gave me a dang heart attack. I'm messing with you, man. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. If I ever say anything on live stream in front of quite a few people, I'm joking. I'm never going to do something like that. If I'm not commenting on it, that's when you should get worried. Gerald Sears helping out by giving super chat. Thank you so much. It is how I make my bread. It's how I buy assets and do fancy stuff like this. Look, watch this. Watch this. Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah. Cena ain't cheap. Cena ain't cheap. The reason the Terran Empire wouldn't have cloak on all ships would be tech separation. Only loyal captains get cloak. I could see that. I could see loyal captains or captains that gained favor having cloak. That seems very Terran Empire, so I could see that. Mark Andre Otis, everything from Starfleet is a flying coffin. It's true, but that's what gets me. People sit here and talk about, and I know we're getting off topic because you guys, it's easy to get me off topic on this stuff. People will sit there and talk about, the Starfleet is an exploratory thing, and then you have Picard saying that they're not a military and stuff like that. It is incredibly easy to get killed due to hostile aliens on Starfleet vessels, regardless of the type of ship you're on. And I'm glad they dropped the BS after DS9. Even TNG with the Sovereign and everything, they just dropped all of that BS and admitted, yeah, we're a military. And that's what they always were. The original Inception, from the original series, it was a military that was 60-40 exploratory. The Miranda, John Chu, the Miranda was originally supposed to be the most powerful combat vessel that the Federation had. They had super phasers that came from the warp core that was supposed to destroy planets. Yeah. Do you think there is a Section 31 and secretly brought Janeway and built Voyager to invade the Delta Quadrant? Asks Awesome Player Boss. I mean, we don't know for sure. I think that would be interesting. I never thought of it that way, where Warship Voyager was created and then sent off. Obviously, since DS9, that never would have happened. I honestly think that in a mirror universe, if there was a Mirror Janeway, she was probably a part of the Maquis being hunted down by Chakotay. I think that she was probably really competent. Everything Chakotay is what Janeway is in the mirror universe. Bad Wolf Gamer, super phasers? Darn, move over, Death Star. Yeah, it didn't destroy planets, but the super phasers. So the phasers that you see, and it's on the pylon of the roll bar. The super, those little things where they're firing and they hit the Enterprise, those originally were supposed to be getting all of their power from the warp core, and were supposed to be the most powerful phasers ever built. Now, I don't know why, but for some reason they decided not to go that route. They really drastically scaled down how powerful the Miranda was. If I had to guess, It probably was Kirk not wanting the Enterprise to be outdone. I don't know. And when I say Kirk, I mean the actor Shatner. I don't know. I'm basing that off of everything of what I know about Shatner. I sincerely don't know, but if that was the guess, but yeah, they scaled it down. Nova Hakotan becoming a lore master. Thank you so much. Lore Reloaded. How in my good lord is Starfleet not a military? They have enough firepower to level a planet. That's not pacifistic to me. So it's really an interesting, if we want to get into that. And I don't mind. I mean, we're going to go off topic for a minute, but I can talk to you guys about the eras that is Starfleet. But before I do that, James Hubbard helping out the channel. Again, thank you so much. Do you think a Mirror Universe show or movie would work? I would like to see more from the Terran Empire and discover more of their lore. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think that and see now it's popping up. I think the Quentin Tarantino movie should be Terran Empire. Should be Mirror Universe. I think an R-rated Mirror Universe would work. I would not have an issue with that at all. I don't think he should go overboard. I don't think he should be too Tarantino. Keep some of Trek there. But I think that if we're going to do Terran Empire, if we're going to do Mirror Universe, R-rated Quentin Tarantino movie. That's what you need to do. What was I talking about beforehand, though? Oh, Starfleet. So I'll leave it up to you guys. So should we stay on Terran Empire tech and talk about that? Or should we talk about the different eras and how Starfleet became pacifistic? So one, if we're going to talk about Starfleet pacifism and basically when Gene Roddenberry took over TNG, or two, to stay on the Terran Empire. I'll leave it up to you guys. I'll give it about 30 seconds since that's what it's going to take for you guys to get this. No one on Starfleet can make a gun powerful as the engine is. So in the original series, they had phasers that pulled from the warp core. But that had issues because if main power went out, the warp core went out. In the Next Generation, Best of Both Worlds, the mega weapon that they were doing it through the deflector shield that burnt out all the systems, basically took every bit of warp core power, pulled it from everything, and attacked the Borg cube. And that's how they did that. My hope is that Tarantino writes a Klingon film. I just don't think anything that's not human-oriented, human-focused will do well on the big screen or in a series, if I'm being honest. I don't see that. I'll quickly go over it since it looks like everyone wants to say on the Terran Empire. We won't go into it much. In the Next Generation, when Gene Roddenberry... So the funny thing is, Gene Roddenberry had a wonderful idea. Star Trek was an absolutely wonderful universe that came from his head. He didn't really do well when it came to writing the stories in the universe that he created. The original series, not a lot of that had Gene Roddenberry's influence on Star Trek is not as pronounced as Gene Roddenberry would like you to have to think. Anytime Gene Roddenberry had a lot of power, ratings went down, audiences didn't like it. The very early on with the Next Generation, Gene Roddenberry had a ton of influence. And because of that, he took Starfleet and tried to make them pacifistic. He created a pacifistic era for Starfleet, where you have Picard and Riker sitting there saying that that Starfleet isn't a military. And Riker himself, by the way, who can never win any fight without having a ship explode, saying that combat is a small province of a Starfleet captain. So, I mean, I'll do another show, and we'll talk about that completely. But yeah, early stages of TNG, you know, the parts people didn't really like all that much, was done by Gene Roddenberry. And Gene Roddenberry drastically wanted Starfleet to be exploratory and for militaries not to matter. And that's the quick and bloody. Balance 7878 becoming a lore master. Welcome to the fold, good sir. Let's see. Fancy Teeth. That lore reloaded. What if the history of the Terran Empire didn't diverge at first contact? What if the universes where Tarantino's movies take place is the mirror universe? I mean, that would be interesting. The divergence of the mirror universe actually didn't happen at first contact. It actually happened when the Roman Empire did not fall. Captain George got to go. By the way, check out Captain George. He is a wonderful Star Trek channel. He does some Star Wars too. Go click and subscribe to him. Good guy. Talk to you later, Captain George. But yeah, so the Roman Empire didn't fall, and that was technically where the divergence happens. And I discussed this this morning, but really the mirror universe to me is where events changed, but not the people. Let me kind of explain that. You have the Roman Empire not falling. You have the Nazis proliferating, not being destroyed. You have first contact. But in these, you will either see one of two things. You will see the person who looks like they're the same person. They're just in a bad situation, like T'Pol. T'Pol seems like David Hoft becoming a lore master. T'Pol seems like it's the T'Pol from the Prime Universe. She's just downtrodden. She's just in a bad situation. Spock, to a degree. Same thing. And so I'm of the opinion that in the Mirror Universe, you have the same people, just in a different situation, which changed them fundamentally. And a lot of people don't like that because it means that Kirk could be evil, that he isn't naturally good, that, Cisco, Prime Cisco, has a propensity... Well, no, he did that as a Prime Universe. Never mind. That the people actually would have been evil. It's not different. So, that's my opinion. The events changed, not the people. The people just responded to it differently. Paladin Demos. So the Mirror Universe is the original precursor of the Imperium before Discovery. Sure. If the Roman Empire didn't fall, then why did they have a World War III? Because the writers wanted them to have a World War III after the... I mean, the Roman Empire didn't fall. That's a part of Enterprise. And actually, interestingly enough, in Enterprise, they were the Terran Empire was supposed to be polytheistic. They were multiple references to different gods that were removed. The Terran Empire should be much more advanced since Roman Empire was on the brink of an industrial revolution. They basically have a 2,000-year head start on the Federation, says Phil W. Not only that, but again, the Defiant, 23rd century tech in 22nd century. And then you have the conquering of all of these civilizations. So I do think that the tech would be more advanced. And like you said, they have 2,000-year head start when in the Prime Universe, everything restarted on our side, right? Though, to be fair, we didn't have the eugenics wars in the 2000s like we were supposed to. So maybe we can catch up. Thoughts on the Terran Empire's use of magic space? The Mycelium Network. Well, that's the Prime Universe too, Inu. The Mycelium Network is basically the Force, depending on how you want to interpret what happened to Stamets. I'm not a big fan of the Mycelium Network. I'm not a big fan of the spores. Star Trek has always been science fiction, not science fantasy. That is quite clearly science fantasy. They didn't do a lot of good with it. They didn't go anywhere with it. And the ending, spoilers for whoever cares about Discovering. What's up, buddy? The ending, what are you doing? The ending, where it's just like, oh, it may hurt humans, so we're not going to use it anymore, was just stupid. Especially when you look at what happened with Voyager. I mean, if I was on Voyager, if I was Captain Janeway, I got back, became an admiral, and found out that the Mycelium Network existed, that you had the spore drive, I would be pissed. So very pissed. Voyager should have never had the issues it had. Gene Roddenberry also wanted Risa to be a non-stop on-screen orgy. Yeah, he also wanted to have an in-depth conversation, discussion, and recording and go live about Ferengi and Ferengi sex. Not everything Gene Roddenberry did was a winner. Uh, you know, just putting that out there. Let's see. I like Discovery, but yeah, the Spore Drive was something I missed it. The Mirror Universe Palace ship. They have a 40K style navigator. There's no going back. The Mirror Universe is a nature versus nurture argument, and they came down on the Mirror Universe is a nature versus nurture argument. Yeah, I mean, yes, I would say it is. I think that the Mirror Universe shows that it is basically nature, what's around you. But let me say this too. I think Deep Space Nine is exactly like that as well. Doug 34 is their cat behind him. That's actually that's my editor. All the editing and everything that's not Fancy Teeth is done by him. And he actually 2 editors. He's got a brother that edits for me as well. But where was I going? Oh, in Deep Space Nine, if you take a look, they talk about how the Federation is nothing but nurture. When you take away, remember what Quark said. When you take away all of their beds, all of their creature comforts, they become as bad as Klingons. Look at Chief O'Brien, the episode where he almost committed suicide, and was talking about how he was told as a child that they were evolved humans, and how he's failed because he's committing suicide. He barely didn't. That shows it is nurture. I think that personally, I think that it's a mix of nature versus nurture. I do think nurture plays a huge role, but I think there's some nature there too. And so Deep Space Nine shows that. In The Next Generation, Gene Roddenberry tried to show it was all nature, how we can evolve above death. You had kids that didn't even care about death. But Deep Space Nine was nurture, and Mirror Universe is nurture. Angel with a shotgun waving. Angel, always a pleasure to see you. Glad you're here. Let's see. Yeah, someone was talking about Risa having issues with STDs and pregnancy. Technically, the Federation has the most advanced medical facilities and medical technology, so that's not an issue. Plus pregnancy, I mean, I assume they have some form of birth control. Let's head down to Quark's. Root beers on me. How about Section 31 in the Mirror Universe? This keeps coming up, and I think it would be one of 2 things. Originally, I thought Section 31 would be like a rebellion, trying to turn the Mirror Universe Empire into like a democracy, maybe run by Spock. But someone else brought up, what if they were worse than what we see Section 31? That would be interesting too, where basically Section 31's the Tal Shiar, but just a worst version of the Tal Shiar, or the Obsidian Order. So they take it one step more. But honestly, how do you outdo the Terran Empire? Look at Discovery's Terran Empire. They eat aliens for food. And so you have the Emperor who eats aliens for food and destroys entire planets. And yet that's not enough. What the heck? The Emperor, who again commits genocide on Kronos, is too alien friendly. How do you do better than that? Smokey on the grass. I just put your name together. Now I know what that means. You come here a lot, and it just now dawned on me what your name implies. Talking about TNG, evolved past death, so like Altered Carbon. I've actually never seen Altered Carbon. But so in one of the first episodes, again, heavily influenced by Gene Roddenberry, and of course it was Wesley Crusher. No, it wasn't Wesley Crusher, but he was in it. This kid's parent died, and they talked about how you don't cry or mourn over it because you're such an evolved human being. That's such garbage. I mean, it kind of appeals to me after losing my parents. I would love not to grieve that you have the loss of a loved one, but that is such garbage. Awesome Player Boss. What about the Enterprise D was destroyed in First Contact and before the ending of Generations refitted Enterprise? What about the Enterprise D was destroyed in the First Contact? Okay. And before the ending of refitted Enterprise. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't understand that question. You may have to redo it. I think that's on my side. I'm a little tired. Sorry, guys. Personally, I'd like to see them bring in Roddenberry's Questers universe and somehow tie it into Star Trek or bring back the Gary 7 aliens. It could be interesting. I'll agree. What if Discovery goes post-Voyager or Nemesis? What if they play around in the late 2400s or the early 2500s? Could you imagine them ruining the new timeline? Everything Discovery touches, it ruins. I'm hoping season 2 is supposed to be the fix that they say it is, because they say they're going to do better in season 2. They're going to fix all these issues. It's going to be more cohesive. They lie. They lie like they breathe. They've lied about a lot of things. The executives, the directors, they lie. They love putting down anyone who doesn't believe what they believe. They go out of their way to attack you if you have even the most minute conservative ideal. They are not people that I trust at all. That said, they said that they're going to be more cohesive in season 2 and that it's going to fix everything. So assuming that they're not continuing to lie, I have hope for season 2. And I could see them trying to go post Voyager, but I don't think they will. I don't think they're that stupid. They may be liars, but they're not stupid. But yeah, I got myself off thing. Rumor has it the Borg will make an appearance on Star Trek Discovery. I would not be surprised. I don't think they're going to do that either, but I would not be surprised if they did. Altered Carbon had some highlights into Attitude of Very Long Lived. That's the hook. Yeah, I know the premise behind Altered Carbon. I just haven't watched it. I gotta go, says Fancy Teeth. I need to plot against the cat before he takes over all my work. Holla at you, boy. Yeah, he's gonna take all your monies, yo. See you, Fancy Teeth. Hey, you guys should check him out. He does comic books. He's a really good editor. You guys should check it out. Doug 34 and the death scene of an abused dog. I don't know what you're talking about. Lore Reloaded. Thoughts on the NASA warp drive project, since warp drives are theoretically possible? I mean, it would be cool. It would change everything. But I don't think we'll see it in our lifetime. I really want to see a Kelvin Timeline Intrepid. I want to see a Kelvin Timeline Intrepid too. How cool would that be? I don't think they're going to do it because the Kelvin Timeline was kiboshed. But I'd love to see that as well. Would you watch a remake version of the Enterprise D in First Contact and met its last enemy, the Borg? I would. Hainer Tim, helping out the channel. Thank you so much. It's due to giving like that helps out. $10. You didn't say anything. If you want me to play, I tell you what, I'll play something, and then if you want me to play something else, just let me know. But I'll also play. Look, I'll play some LaBouffe. We haven't seen LaBouffe.
Just do it.
Doug 34, that's not going to go on the chat, but yeah, so they did that to a dog. Gotcha. So they hurt a dog in Altered Carbon. Him Dream. Oh, Star Trek Discovery more cohesive. They are fixing the Scarans. Oops, I mean Klingons. They're supposed to be fixing stuff. They're supposed to be explaining a lot. You know, honestly, here's what I hope they do. I hope they just basically say, hey, this was a alternate reality. This was part of the multiverse or something like that. It would probably piss off a lot of people, but I'll be honest. It's a lot more. I'll be honest. It's a lot more honest. I think it would fix quite a few things. I hope they do that. I hope they go that route. Because it would be like, hey, and they could say this, and again, I don't know that it would go well at the beginning, but if they came out and they said, hey, we tried something new, we wanted to try something different, it didn't work out, this isn't meshing with Prime Timeline, we're going to make this a multiverse, we're going to make this a different universe that's still a part of the Trek series. Instantly, I mean, we still got the stupid ass political bullshit. Aside from that, it would turn me around on it, and I would give it a lot more praise. I'd give it a lot better chance. I agree. An Oberth Kelvin timeline or a Defiant class Kelvin timeline would be intriguing. Defiant would be really intriguing. How big is the Terran Empire? The Terran Empire, by the time of Spock, is pretty massive. We know that they've conquered the Klingons, so the Klingon Empire fell to the Terran Empire. Arguably, I think the Romulans probably fell to the Empire as well. We also have the Suliban, who failed, and the evidence leads me to believe that the Tholians were destroyed as well, but that we don't know for sure. But they're pretty massive, pretty big. I'd like a new Star Trek universe based on our modern day perspective, not a vision from the 60s. What would that look like to you, Bad Wolf Gamer? What would you like that? I would have to... What's going on, Ordo Scurata? Always a pleasure to see you. Hainer Tim, I actually agree with you when it comes to the Terran Empire. I love, with the exception of Michael Sue, I love most of the characters and their arcs. And I loved Lorca until the Terran Empire stuff. Yeah, 80 people watching, only 48 likes. What's up with that? Hit that like or dislike button. I loved Tilly. I loved her arc. I like Lorca for the most part, except towards the end. I like Saru. I thought Saru was excellent, going to be scared of everything, and then he's the captain, he gives this massive speech about how his species is supposed to be scared of everything and how he can see death coming, and he doesn't see death coming. Just excellent. So I like Saru, I like Tilly, I like Stamets was excellent. I liked Stamets is probably near my favorite character, to be honest with you. Who else was in there? There's another character, and I forget her name. She's a side character that's barely ever seen, just on the bridge and whatnot. I think she has red hair. She may not. I'd have to look it up. I'd love to see them expand her. But since you guys don't know who the hell I'm talking about, she's white. I believe she was the XO in the Terran Empire. I'm not sure. But yeah. I'm in Star Trek Online flying a mirror universe ship while I'm watching this. Well, Admiral Balefire, I'm here for you. Something interesting, Admiral. Buddy, I think it is, give me a second. The 7th, I'm going to have a developer from Cryptic on, and we're going to be talking about the new DLC and advancement. So you should be here for that. It'll be on this channel probably about 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We need to get more Sulu, shirtless and oiled up with a rapier. Both JJ and Toss. I'm sure Takai would do it. Maybe. King Rainbow, and not to mention Saru's Superman abilities. I'd hate to see what preyed on his people. Yeah, I don't like his abilities. His abilities are inconsistent, and they don't pick up on evilness when the plot doesn't like it. But I do like his character arc. with the advancements we have, like the internet, modern military, and domestic technologies, of course you'd have the ongoing proxy wars in which many aliens get caught in the crossfire for resources, says Bad Wolf Gamer. I'm assuming we're talking about a current day version. During this time, and really into even Enterprise era, humans were very intolerant of aliens. So you'd almost have a... it wouldn't be Trek, I don't think. I don't think they could do one at this point because humans would want to get rid of aliens or would be very bigoted towards them. Darth Maul. Not Darth Maul from Star Wars, but like a Maul that was made a Sith Lord. Like a mall that you walk in, made a Sith Lord. I'm scared to watch Star Trek Discovery. With all the negative comments about it, I will cold honk about watching of Season 2... I will watching it if Season 2 fares bad. Let me say this. If you get a free week from CBS, check it out. Binge watch it. I don't think it's worth your time. I don't like it. It is not Trek in my eyes. I'm not a huge fan of No True Scotsman. For me, it's not Trek. But some people love it. I mean, check it out if you like to. Don't mess with Sulu, the early version of Cisco. I have never considered Sulu to be an early version of Cisco. I guess I'd have to think about that one. Yeah. Mr. Londale J. Favorite Star Trek Discovery character? The deadpan security officer that opened the tardigrade pen thinking she could shoot a piece off of it. Yeah, that was just stupid. I'll tell you who I do like. Character does not match the one we see in the original series at all. But my God, I love him. Harry Mudd. Harry Mudd, I absolutely love that character. I love all the episodes he's in. To be fair, I'm a huge Dwight fan, so it could be that, but still. Yeah. Okay, I got to admit the Star Trek Discovery Mirror episodes were good. I liked most all of the Mirror episodes until they went full let's attack conservatives and Republicans. And that's not to say I'm a conservative or Republican. People take that wrong. I wish people would listen to the nuanced argument that I'm putting here. They completely disenfranchised half of the population to get stupid political points. So with that removed... I liked a lot of the Terran Empire plot. It just felt like Space Dwight, and I loved it. I don't think Space Dwight, but I do think it was very very entertaining. Let's see. Star Trek Discovery was okay. Definitely not Trek we are used to, but for me, they did justice to the Terran Empire, says James Hubbard. Well, I mean, you have your right. You have the right to be wrong. I will defend your right to be wrong any day. I'm just giving you a hard time. I don't think it was Trek. I would agree. Especially with some of the stuff they did. Is there other free humans except Harry Mudd? Sorry, I don't understand your question, Mark Andre Otis. Is there other free humans? Can you rephrase it? I still want to see more about the United Earth Romulan War. Hey, Admiral Bellfire, if you... it's not canon, obviously, but give me a second. Let me see if I can find it. Romulan War... Is that it? Yeah, Admiral Bellfire, go here. www.theromulanwar.com. I'll share it in the chat. He's going to be releasing that soon. In fact, they have a Kickstarter that you can add to. I was talking to him, and then life hit me, and I'm sure he hates me now because I haven't gotten back to him. But and that was a long time ago. But you should check that out if you want to see more about it. I would love for them to have an actual on-screen canon, but that looks very promising. Also, Samuel Cockings from Trek Yards did most of that animation. Most of that, not animation, but the visual effects and everything. So check that out. I think you'd like it. The rich arms dealer who was Harry's father-in-law at... Oh, you're talking to somebody else. Lore, I heard from the anti-trekker that you hated your cat. It doesn't look that way right now. I don't know why the anti-trekker would say that I hated my cat. He pets his fish. He actually puts his hand in the fish tank and pets them. You should take a look at that. Anything planned for 30,000 subscribers? I got a couple ideas in the work. At 10,000 subscribers, I said I'd be getting a tattoo, and I still intend to, and I'm going to live stream it. But yeah, it's amazing how fast the channel is growing. I can't even believe that I'm so close to 30,000. My goal is to try to get above 50,000 by the end of the year. I don't know that that's possible, but I would love that. Ultimately, I want the channel to hit 100K. I think that I don't know what I'd do if I had 100K. I hope it gets that far. Has anyone done Trek versus Babylon 5 breakdowns? Human versus Federation wouldn't be much of a contest, but Federations versus Minbari, that would be a fight. No, I generally don't do stuff like that simply because you're dealing with such drastically different technologies. People keep asking for stuff like that. I may move into it, but that takes a lot. Bill Ontario just found the channel the other day. Really enjoy your content. Well, thank you, Bill Ontario. You know, Bill Ontario, I enjoy you enjoying the channel. Let your dog give tattoos? No, actually, there was a vote at 10,000. I already got what the tattoo is. I just need to do it. Harry Mudd is the only human owning a ship and living outside the Federation service. Where are the other humans who live outside Starfleet? That's one of those things where obviously more people are out of Starfleet than are in it. You just never see it because the show follows Starfleet. For a channel of this quality, 100K is very doable, says Michael. Yeah, I think I need to up my game in a couple of ways. I think I need to be more on the quality of space dock and the Templin Institute, which is what I'm working towards. I'm always don't get me wrong. The channel is meant to be approachable. It's meant to be Douglas Jones becoming a lore master. It's meant to be nerds doing, geeks doing breakdowns and giving our opinions and being snarky and having that bite and not being like an official database. So I'm always going to keep that, but I'd like to up my quality a little bit, and I think that would get me more. Yes. Bill Ontario becoming a lore master. Bill Ontario, I thought you said you were already one. Makes the idea of a Firefly, Elo Reloaded, makes the idea of a Firefly style show in Trek universe enticing. A lot of people want to do stuff like that. They want to do aliens like Klingons. I don't know that the Trek universe can take. Trek has always been Starfleet. It's always been upbeat. And one of the reasons Discovery is failing so much, I think, is because it's not Trek. It's dystopian. It's porn. It's gore porn. It goes out of its way to not be Trek. And I think that if you don't do following Starfleet, I think it'll fail. Maybe I'm wrong. And I wouldn't mind being wrong on that. I'm just giving my opinions. Babylon 5, Traveler, and Eclipse Phase are my top sci-fi universes, though the last doesn't have FTL. Oh, with Babylon 5 coming out on Amazon, you're going to start seeing Babylon 5 coming out a lot faster on my end, by the way. I hated the gore on Disco. Yeah, that... And they did it a lot, especially with the Terran Empire. It was like 7 effing episodes, one after the other, after the other, after the other. Gore porn all. And then 3 episodes, one after the other, implied rape, all of them. You're taking risks, but that's just not Trek. I heard and this is, I'm still in this straight from Jeremy Johns. I'm going to use this for Discovery. Discovery took risks. They jumped outside of the box. Absolutely. But you know what else is taking a risk? Sleeping with your neighbor's wife or your brother's wife. That's taking a risk. It's still fucking stupid. That's quoting him almost verbatim. So they took risks. They took the wrong risks. Doug34, you have to widen subject matter. Better study if you want. Babylon 5 and Farscape, huge fan base, haven't seen it. Yeah, well, anytime I do something that's not Star Trek, I take a hit to both subscribers and views. It's interesting. I do want to expand, and I am. I'm starting to do BattleTech. I'm starting to do Star Wars. I'm starting to do Expanse. I'll be doing Babylon 5 coming out soon. But ironically, anytime I do something non-Trek, I am taking a hit to every metric I have. I'm still going to do it because I still want to expand. I still want to do those things. But it's just funny because people are like, well, you're going to hit all of these audiences. Ironically, it doesn't expand as much as you think. An idea that I've always liked... actually, I've already started doing Firefly Doug 34. If you'll take a look at my playlists, you'll find a Firefly playlist. I've done quite a few episodes on that. An idea I've always liked for the Borg is that they leave some races defined that are into cybernetics unassimilated because of difficulties making two similar collectives. Can you give me the reference on that? I'm not saying you're wrong. That's just interesting to me. And I've never caught on to that. So I'd love that reference. Gore and rape sex didn't add anything to Disco, says Xavier Gamer. A risk should have a potential reward. I didn't see that in the gore and sex in the show. I would agree with that. Anytime Trek tries to do that, they fail. They failed in Enterprise. They failed in The Next Generation. Cisco, primetime Cisco, is made to look like a rapist in the Terran Empire mirror universe things. They fail. It's just not something Trek does. It doesn't do it, and it doesn't do it well. So they need to stop doing that in all iterations because they never do it well. In Nemesis, oh my God, Nemesis. Nemesis, in my opinion, is worse than Discovery, and Discovery's pretty bad. Smokey the Grass. That sucks. I'd love to see more lore videos on stuff like The Expanse and Mass Effect. You are going to see those things, Smokey Not Grass. You're going to see them. I'm going to do them. It is my goal. Right now I do 3 and 2. 3 Trek, 2 non-Trek. I want to move it where I'm only doing 1 or 2 Trek a week. But I'm going to start doing those, so... Doug, you say if you don't know, say you'll check it out. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Doug34. I missed it beforehand. What specifically are you asking me about? Discovery should stop being Warhammer 40,000. Yeah, it should. Have you checked out the Transformers Prime TV series? No, I haven't, Sci-Fi said Dan. Kind of related with the Borg having trouble assimilating other cybernetic beings. Could they assimilate a changeling? This question has been brought up, and I feel like there's been a definitive answer to it. Yes. Yes, there is. I definitively think that a changeling could be assimilated because the virus or the plague or whatever it was that they used attacked the changeling cells, meaning that cells existed within a changeling, so you could assimilate a changeling, in my opinion. By the way, guys, we're going to be ending it very shortly. So if you've got any questions, let me know. Well, sad thing is war. So I'm just hoping some good stuff. I'm okay. Again, Doug34, I think I missed I have comments come by a few. I have like 4 to 5 comments every 3 to 10 seconds. So I may have missed it, and I apologize if I did. If a virus can attack, nanites can too, Anthony Dukes. Yeah, I agree, Anthony Dukes. If a virus has the ability to impact the changelings, then there's no reason that nanites couldn't do the exact same thing. I think they could be assimilated. Would I ever join Starfleet? Not in a million years. I would never join at all. Star Trek is one of those universes where it's fun to have a fantasy about being in it, but when realistically would you want to join it? Absolutely not. Thanks for subbing to the channel, Balefire. The Borg, that one ooze monster or whatever it is, Q, anything. What are they? Star Trek. Hold on, I'm looking them up. All right, am I back? I think I'm back. That was weird. Okay. Hit 1 in the comments if you can see me if I'm back. That was weird. Anyway, no, absolutely not. I mean, again, Vidians, Q, Borg, all these things could kill you. All these things could absolutely kill you. No, I would never be in Starfleet. Ever. Never, ever, 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 ever. Yeah, I don't know if that was on my side or if that was YouTube. But yeah, so just Klingons, Romulans, absolutely not. Fave episode of Star Trek would have to, not sure, have to think about that. My favorite episode of Star Trek, I don't know. Probably something in Deep Space Nine, though. Yeah, not only has YouTube been laggy, it's not been sending out alerts. So, thanks, Trump. Honestly, that's probably a good way to end it anyway. So, yeah, I think we're going to end it, guys. Thanks so much. I had fun. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And, guys, I'm going to see you on the next. On the absolute next. Lore Reloaded.